The three-box saloon is gone. That's what the Mercedes design boss said just a few years ago. But you don't have to take his word for it. The statistics paint a bleak enough picture on their own. Sales across the D, E and F segments, which make up saloons, account for barely 8% in Europe, which is only half of the meagre 16% they made up 10 years ago.
The fatal blow was made 60 years ago. An act of desperation more than anything. Renault's 16 wasn't even the first hatchback, but it might have been the first delivered with real purpose. And it was good enough to set in motion the demise of the saloon. In the early 1960s, Renault may have seemed like the pig in the middle of the big three French car makers. With nothing as technologically intricate and glamorous as Citroën's DS, nor anything to match the conservative ruggedness of Peugeot's 404. In the face of these two, Renault hadn't offered their own large executive car since the turn of the decade, after discontinuing the decidedly dated-looking Colorale and Frigate of early 50s vintage. The company instead focused on the small car market, where in 1961 they accidentally invented the hatchback with their Renault 4, while trying to bring to market a very small estate car or station wagon. The 4 would do battle with Citroën's ubiquitous 2CV, and really took advantage of the 20-year age gap between the two. Able to factor in the much improved road network and focus on more speed and refinement, while the old 2CV still struggled to 40 miles an hour. Renault's chairman, Pierre Dreyfus, said it was to be their blue jeans car, something for every man, woman and child, whether in the city or on the farm. While the 2CV had very effective suspension, its design was old and required frequent lubrication. The 4 would simplify all that, using clever torsion bar rear suspension, giving it its famous uneven wheelbase, with one side an inch or two longer than the other. Top speed was 65 miles an hour. The interior was spacious and reasonably pleasant. The car sold in the millions. Meanwhile, attention turned back to the now empty large car segment. Renault had actually struck an agreement with AMC to import and sell the Rambler Classic 6 as an interim replacement for the Frigate from 1962. These were built from knockdown kits at Renault's factory and sold as the Rambler Renault. Gaston Juchet, automotive engineer and chief designer, had done some work on a replacement for the Frigate, but this had been shelved. Dreyfus instead ordered a completely different approach to the large car, and Project 115 was born. Instead of another conventional rear-drive saloon, Renault would take the building blocks of the 4 and create a large, front-wheel drive car with the same torsion bar suspension, and so the same uneven wheelbase, even the same hatchback rear door. This was unheard of. As popular as the 4 was, big cars weren't hatchbacks. It just wasn't done. Stirling Moss would go on to call the 16 the most intelligently engineered automobile he'd encountered. The torsion bars and cavernous interior would ensure it brought with it some of the universal appeal of its smaller stablemate, but its attractive exterior styling really set it apart. Despite being quite tall, the car was aerodynamic for its era, with a sharply angled tailgate. Neat, flowing swage lines vanished behind the car, and the front grille is slightly sharp-nosed, leaning forward along with the front wheel arch to give an impression of eager speed. The car was powered by Renault's A-Type engine, mounted longitudinally with the gearbox ahead of it. This was carried over from the 4 and would be seen in several more Renaults of this era, along with those torsion bars at the rear and the uneven wheelbase. In the UK, the press remarked that here finally was a car for the contrarian Englishman who couldn't afford to keep a DS on the road. Little did they know how much this car would shape the industry. Almost 2 million Renault 16s were produced between 1965 and 1980. The car was received very well. Unfortunately, it wasn't rust-proofed as well as it was designed, and they are rare to find now. But what you will see on every street is their legacy. Large family hatchbacks exploded in popularity throughout the 80s and 90s. And even most of the awful crossovers being marketed now follow the same formula set in motion by the 16. If only some of them looked as good.